Okay, I'm gonna let in the first petitioners. Looks
Okay.
like there's 3 of them. Is Pete Rankovich, is that one of them, Angie?
Yes.
Okay. I got Ron Farland and Chuck Tyler.
Yep.
Can everybody hear? Okay, Alan, I think we are good to go.
Good to go. Okay. Well, this is the hearing officer meeting of the Carmel Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'll call this meeting to order. Angie, are there any reports, announcements, legal concerns, or department concerns?
No, nothing.
Okay, thank you. Hearing that, there are none. We have 2 public hearings tonight, the first of which is Carmel High School Performing Arts Addition Variance. It's docket number PZ 2021-00026, the UDO section 2.1. Minimum 35 feet front yard building setback required, 30 feet proposed. Site's located at 520 East Main Street. It's zoned R2/residence. Filed by Charles Tyler of Fanning Howie Associates Incorporated on behalf of Carmel Clay Schools. Chuck, go right ahead.
Thank you. This is one of the areas of Carmel High School that has not seen any significant improvement since the 90s. And let me clarify that this is not an expansion of capacity at Carmel High School. This is an expansion to provide appropriate facilities for the performing arts. As the high school has grown, the number of students that are active in the performing arts has increased significantly, to just about 2,000 students of the current enrollment. So these departments have been making do with the space that they have for quite a long time. The addition sort of wraps the southwest corner of the existing high school. We do not modify the current setbacks on the east side, but in order to provide 2 large rehearsal spaces, we are building to the south in front of the existing south wall of the current music and orchestra rooms. That will displace the current parking lot that exists there. The parking lot is being replaced by a new north parking lot north of the natatorium. And that project, actually, our contractor has already mobilized, and that parking will be in place before any of the work on the Performing Arts Addition begins. We are maintaining an egress drive along the south, both for loading and unloading of students and musical equipment, also for maintain fire egress. Nothing along Main Street, the curb line itself is modified, although we've enhanced landscaping along this edge of the site and addressed some of staff's concerns about sidewalks, handicap curb cuts, etc. It is a project that is going to be going out to bid with the intent that project would be awarded in May of this year, with work to start at the beginning of the school year. The addition continues existing exterior materials, although we have enhanced the amount of glass and transparency to create a more vibrant and interesting facade to engage Main Street more effectively, and something that continues the desired modifications of the activity and enhancements that the city is undertaking along Main Street as well. The adjustment, as you noted, is from 35 feet down to 30 feet. That does, while it may seem somewhat insignificant from a dimensional standpoint, it does give us some of the critical dimensions we need on those two large rehearsal spaces. And over the length of this, it provides 1,000 square feet of additional program area that we're able to include in the building itself. With that, I would be open for any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Angie, do you have a department report?
Yes, I do. I'd like to give that after we take any public comment. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, any public comment come in?
Thank you, Mr. Hearing Officer. For the record, we received 0 written comments for this petition. Thank you.
Thank you. Angie?
Yes, thank you. As the petitioner stated, it is a fairly simple variance request of 5 feet. So the building is requested to be 5 feet closer to Main Street. And the planning department is in support of this variance request, since they will be addressing landscaping and architecture and materials. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions for you. It's pretty straightforward, and I'll grant this variance. Thank you for coming in.
We appreciate your time very much.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Mhm. Joe, do you need any other vote other than that?
No, that's it. Yep.
Yeah, okay,
Give me 1 second. Let me let the next person in.
that's fine.
Could you hear us, Holly?
Yes.
Okay.
I was
we're-
worried.
Yeah, the first one took some time. All right, we are ready, Mr. Hearing Officer.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
This is docket number PZ 2021-00029SE, UDO section 2.07. Permitted uses, special exceptions. The site's located at 58 Wilson Drive. It's zoned R2 residence, lot 108 Wilson Village subdivision, filed by Holly Hospital, owner.
Yes.
Okay, go right ahead.
In my presentation, or
Yes.
it's my desire just to keep using 58 Wilson on occasion for short-term rentals. As I have in the past, I've adhered to all of the stipulations that I've agreed to. We've taken the money and have been able to make substantial improvements, including a bathroom remodel this year. So pleased with that. And it's generally been a very smooth experience with a lot of, positive benefit to people who have stayed. For example, during COVID, we had a lady stay there who needed a free place to stay because she was a nurse and they couldn't go home, and they needed a place to stay to be able to treat patients. So we provided that for free. And then there also have been people in transition because of COVID that we've also been able to help out.
Okay. Mr. Secretary, was there any remonstrance either for or against?
Thank you, Mr. Hearing Officer. For the record, we did receive the one email this afternoon that was distributed to the hearing officer and staff and to the petitioner. And she was able to respond to that. And that was from the adjacent neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff report.
Thank you. This is a renewal request for a short-term residential rental. And so the zoning ordinance does guide us in that we shall give this favorable consideration. And I have checked with our code enforcement department and they have not received any complaints about this property. And with that, we do suggest a positive consideration of this special exception request. Thank you.
Thank you. Holly, this has nothing at all to do with this hearing at all, but I just would be interested to know, do you rent this a lot, or it just seems very interesting that, you know, a house in the middle of there's not a whole lot going on around it would be you know, rented. I find it just interesting.
Well, I don't know what a lot is. We did have somebody stay there longer than 30 days last year because, again, they were in transition. But the number of renters last year, I mean, it's hard to kind of compare last year or even think of last year because it was such an odd year, mostly awful. But so I'm not quite sure how to answer your question. We had fewer renters or fewer people come through, but we did have somebody stay for a longer period of time.
Okay, well, that's fine. I was just curious. And with regards to the individual that wrote in, he wrote in after the deadline, what I call a deadline. So, I mean, that to me, there have been no other complaints or remonstrance other than his, and I read your response as well. So I'll grant you this. I know that I read your comments too about the fact that you have to go through this. It's the process, sorry to say, but it is. And so until next year, it's been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Very good.
Have a good one.
You too.
Okay. Is there anything else that needs to come before the hearing officer? Nothing? Okay.